ZEROFX Heltec. Let's assemble our N30 node here from Amazon. You can buy these in pairs. They're about £30 each all in, which I think is quite good. But we do have to assemble it. I'm going to show you now, and then we're going to load the new MESCORE system, and this is now called a companion. Okay, so let's do it. But you can actually load these to be a repeater and then add an I would say add an external antenna. So let's quickly take this out of the box and then show you what you get. So in a plastic bag we did get a sticky cover which eventually goes on here. This sticks the battery to the back of the box there, and you do get these GPIO style pins, and I'm guessing that this is the actual like an internal antenna, but we're using the external one. So let's get everything out here like so. Yeah, a nice little case there. Inside this plastic wrapping is the battery, 1000 milliamp hour, and there's the little connector just there. Inside the plastic case we get the Heltec version 3, and these have Wi-Fi, Bluetooth, everything you need, the ESP board. They're tried and tested. There is a version 4 out and it costs a few pounds more. I will make a video on that one as well. But everything's there, USB-C, and the battery once connected just here. Yeah, the device has the circuitry needed to charge it, Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, all that kind of stuff. Lightweight and very, very customizable. This is your Wi-Fi antenna here, and see that small connector there. We'll take this off. I don't want that in the way. That's going to be where our antenna clips, and then just in the box, handy little boxes. These get your budget antenna. Okay, now I've bought a super antenna, but you do have to be careful because don't forget the plastic case can only take so much. But this is a super antenna there, and I'll put the link in for that. And you've got the GPIO pins that you don't need in this case, but in some cases you may. And then you've got your antenna, which is going to clip here. We'll do that in a second. And then the bar antenna. So we'll get everything ready to assemble. First thing, let's open up this box. So if you look at it with the squarey hole there at the top, I pushed it from the inside, just pushed my finger in there, and then it sort of came up, and then it comes apart. And just note that although there isn't a round circle for your antenna, you screw, just carefully lift it out. You screw the antenna to this bit here. I'll show you that in a sec. Get your little sticky pad and peel both sides off. And we're going to stick it here. Grab your battery and it does fit into place. Just stick it down. Okay, that's your battery done. Look at the 1100 at the bottom, and then you've got the hole at the top there. See that? The hole and the antenna is at the top. That's it. So that's the battery done. Now connect the antenna holder, let's call it. Connect it. It's easier to do this now, and just push it into place here. Try and keep it completely level and flat before you push. Before you push down, keep it completely level and flat. You want to sort of bend it at an angle, and it is quite fiddly if you've got big fingers. But anyway, hold it level. Get your glass. I recommend you get your glasses on, which is what I do, and have a real close look, and then push. When it's correct, it will swivel freely. Okay, so that's your antenna connected. Note the USB-C is there. So now we want this face down. Remember the screen's on the outside, and you take off the screen protector, I would. But it's screened down. Swivel the antenna, sort of rotate it to the right. And then you're going to line up the USB so you can see it poking through, like so. And it does sort of, once you've got it, it does sort of clip into place. And keep checking to make sure that that's level and sticking out correctly. What you'll feel there's a bit of play when you push, because the springy antenna, the Wi-Fi antenna, is pushing it back a bit. But don't worry. So then we're going to get this, or fold it back. And we're going to screw it as if this is a circle. Although it's, as you can see, it's not a circle. We're going to screw it on there as if it is a circle. I've actually kept all my washers underneath in the end. I found that otherwise it sat at an angle, but anyway, you have, do it how you feel, but I'll show you the finished result. So there we are, and then we lit finger tight. I'm finding is plenty. Now if you start putting big giant antennas on this, you are going to risk cracking the case, so just bear that in mind when you think about that. Okay, so that's all connected. Sticker's not on for the front yet. So now we're gonna, it is a little bit fiddly, but you've got to get your battery and poke it in and push it in there. It only goes one way round. We've clipped it in there, and the two holes are lower down. The pins are lower down. So now push this together. Just be careful. Everything lines up so it all goes, and keep your cables. You've got cables and that, and the antenna cable. Just be careful so that this, oops, wrong way around. There you are. See, I made a mistake already. That it all lines up. The battery's in there. And when it does, you can see the cables there. Just make sure they're all inside, and then it will just push together. And it has come on, but don't worry. We are going to load Meshcore on this. If you're new to Meshcore, just going to clip it all into place, and then we'll do the final bit, which is the antenna and the sticker. And this one came from Amazon, and it's preloaded with something already, a LoRa program. So I've taken off the screen protector off the actual screen, the front and the back, which is sticky here. It is a nice, even though it's quite budget, it actually just looks right. Sometimes things just look right. So yeah, very pleased with that. And of course, you plug in there, you've got serial connection, you've got Bluetooth, Wi-Fi, and you saw that I saw my super antenna. Let's actually see what that feels like when it's screwed on there. Well, if it feels like it would break it. Actually, no, it feels completely fine. I could tighten up the nut a little bit there, but look at that for an antenna. Let's load Meshtastic on there, or Meshcore, the new Meshcore, which they call this a companion. I can actually load the other. I could turn this other one into a repeater as well. I might show you that when I'm doing the bit of software in a second. And so let's call this part 1, and then I'll load 2 videos. It'll be this just assembling, and then another video. And I heard my computer beep then, and then another one loading the software. And also I'm going to do one as a repeater and one as what they call a companion. It's a sort of text messaging device. Thanks for watching my assembly of the November 30, look at that Meshology, case and Heltec version 3. Highly recommend you get one of these. And you've got tiny GSA you can try out. Of course, Meshtastic original you can try out, because they're gonna be competing with the whole Meshcore idea, because there's some good ideas there. And the idea that one of the things that you can do with Meshcore is you can tell it to route. So if you get this and put it in your loft as a repeater, you can tell this that when it sends a message to find this first, and then it will repeat out, and then you can decide how many hops you want that to be, how many other. So effectively you can walk around the house with this, sending messages, and the one in your loft, which is up high or connected to maybe your collinear, your big antenna on the roof, will then repeat it. And then so there's some vast ranges being achieved on this. Please join Meshcore. And when you set the location, if you're like me, you have to, not have to, but look at setting at EU UK narrowband. Bye for now.